Welcome back to the morning show right here on ETV. In the wake of the recently released matric results for the class of 2023, we bring you a conversation of paramount importance with our esteemed guest, Dr. Deonita Damons, Executive Director at Boston City Campus. Today's focus is on Plan B, as we have alluded earlier on, that if you didn't make it, I mean, there's still a chance, right? There's still an opportunity, right?
Of course, there's always an opportunity.
No, definitely. Dr. Deonita, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We're all good. Thank you for joining
great.
us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about everything that I went through back then when I was writing my final year, thinking, okay, what are the possibilities if things don't go according to plan? What do I do then? Do you think it's of utmost importance for students, obviously, to think about that even prior to writing that final exam?
I think it's important that students focus on the exam first of all. And for starters, I want to congratulate the class of 2023, because only 55% of the ones that started in grade 1 made it to the matric exam. So that's worrying. On the other hand, if they did not make it, it doesn't mean that all hope is lost, because we do have options and alternatives and alternative pathways to get the person that might not have made the matric to get into higher education somewhere along the line. It must just be perseverance and attitude, and then looking after their mental well-being, their physical well-being, as well as having a support system that supports them.
Sure. And now, when things are like that, I would imagine you're already thinking about the points that you need to be scoring so that you can further your studies. What's the plan B for that?
Well, most institutions work on the admission point system. And at Boston, we do not believe that any student that's a school leaver should be excluded from post-matric learning. So in that event, we've got different learning pathways. So if you did not make it with a matric, with an endorsement, you can also do one of our short learning programs, which culminates into you going into a higher education qualification. So it might take you a bit longer, but ultimately you do get the opportunity to study post-matric education.
Sure, that's beautiful.
So tell me, what are the admission requirements for tertiary education? Do all the institution works on admission points?
Most of them do, yes. And you get certain types of admission requirements. You get a National Senior Certificate endorsement, then you get one with higher certificate endorsement, one with diploma and one with degrees. And they use those point systems to indicate whether you actually are suitable or meet the minimum requirements for admission. Other than that, where we look at it, any person that's a school leaver gave it their all, they made the effort, so we should give them a pathway to ultimately get their degree.
True, that's very much profound. So now I want to look at other options, especially for vocational study options, whereby they don't require the National Senior Certificate. So what do we do when it's like that?
Well, you do get your TVET colleges, which allows you for entry as well. But also even learners with a grade 11 have got a pathway to ultimately get into higher education. So there's also the second chance exam that takes place in June. But during that time, you need to keep your mind active. So I would always profess that if you haven't made it and you're still working towards the second chance, do a short learning program. See if you can improve your skills and your marks to make your job ready as well as just prepare you for higher education learning.
So we've learned that there are many options, and one such option that I know is distance learning.
Yes.
So what are the advantages of distance learning for students who want to rewrite their matric just to improve their grades?
Yes, actually that's a very good one.
There is distance learning options, and with the Department of Basic Education also having distance education providers for schools, learners can decide to opt in a distance learning education institution, provided they have access to specific resources, such as internet access, access to computers and infrastructure, because they would need to be able to communicate with their teachers throughout the period of learning. They get the same qualification as a person attending a physical school, they're just doing it in a distance mode. And for that also you need support from your family, because obviously there's time involved in that as well.
Thank you so much. Dr. Deonita, quick one before we let you go.
Yes.
What's a special message to the matriculants as well?
Don't give up hope.
Sure.
Please apply. If you can't get into the institution of choice, look for an alternative institution. There are many institutions, both private and public, and there will be a pathway for you if you just apply your mind correctly.
Apply your mind correctly, that's what you're saying. Thank you so much once again for joining us this morning. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Well, TMS family, so don't go anywhere. Just stay here with the morning show, because we've got loads and loads coming up after the show.